Hey guys, this is Lauren from My Something Beautiful Life. Today I want to show you how I combined my Erin Condren Life Planner with the MakseLife undated 6-month inserts. So I've been debating for a while whether I was going to get the Erin Condren Life Planner or the MakseLife Planner for next year. There are things that I love about both of them, and I was having a really hard time deciding. But the solution that I have found was to get the undated inserts because they come unpunched. And so I want to explain a little bit about what I did, and then I'll walk you through my planner and show you what it actually looks like and how I have it set up. But it was actually trickier than I expected it to be, trying to get these pages to go inside a standard 7x9 Erin Condren Life Planner. And that's mostly because I found out the Erin Condren Life Planners are not actually 7x9 inches. The MakseLife pages are exactly 7x9 inches. The Erin Condren pages are not. And I couldn't even tell you what measurement they are because it's probably in like millimeters or something. It's not in a very exact inches measurement. It's approximately 1/4 of an inch shorter and maybe like 1/8 of an inch wider than 7x9 pages. But again, it's not even exactly that, and so I don't know what it is. But it is slightly different. And I have to say, it's kind of genius on their part because it makes it really hard to share their covers and their pages with other planners. And so I'm going to show you my workarounds, what I did to actually make it work. I think the biggest obstacle for me was actually getting the holes to line up. I should also point out that I have access to a hole punch that will punch these holes for spiral binding, and so I was able to play around with it a little bit before punching all of my pages. If I had taken it to like a copy shop or an office supply store to have them punch it, it probably would have been messed up, and I don't think I would have been able to do it right. It actually took me a long time to figure out what the issue was and how to fix it. So I have this little paper I'm going to show you. This is where I was punching my samples so I could, and I saved it so I could show you specifically what I'm talking about. So if you see along this side, this is how I would normally punch this space, like this size of a page. This is the same height as an Erin Condren Life Planner page. And so if I was choosing to just punch that size paper, this is the spacing that I would do. Now keep in mind, my hole punch does not let me decide how much space is between each hole. It's a 4:1 pitch, which means there are four holes to each inch. And that's also important to know because some spiral punches will be different than that, and so you need to just be aware of the spacing between the holes, especially so it'll match up to the coil. So after I did this and I was testing it out and I could get it to go on the coil, but the problem that I ran into was that there was always a hole left over. And to me it seems like the punches on the Life Planner, to me it seems like the holes that are punched on the Life Planner are actually spaced a little bit more than the 4:1 pitch. They're not quite that together. And so after some messing around with it, tweaking it, I realized that if I just moved the hole punch really far down to the bottom, like I'll put this up closer so you can see, if I put it right next to the edge, then I could actually get that one extra hole on there. And you can see how close that, oh, not over there, there we go. I have to get the right background so you can actually see it. But you can see how close that is to the edge. It just barely fits to fit that many holes on the paper, which is why I think that the Erin Condren Planner is slightly, I think it's actually slightly closer together, not further away. I think I said it was further away before. I think they're slightly more closer together than the 4:1 pitch. And so that's something to keep in mind if you want to do this. You have to make sure that you have the right amount of holes for the coil. Now I could have done it with this. I think it would have actually gone on, but for every one of the MakseLife pages, I would have had a spot at the top where it was like digging into the page, like it wouldn't have hit just right. And so this way it actually will hit each hole when you're coiling it through. Again, it's a little bit different, and so it's a little bit harder to coil than if you were just uncoiling and recoiling Erin Condren pages together, but it did work. And this was the best way to make it work. So if this is something that you're planning on doing, absolutely make sure that you have the right amount of holes for the coil. And then, like I mentioned before, the MakseLife pages are true 7x9 size, which means that they were taller and more narrow than the Erin Condren LifePlanner pages. So what I actually had to do was I went through my whole pack of inserts and I trimmed them a little bit at the top and or bottom, just depending on the page and what was on the back of the page, because I didn't want to cut off anything. So like if you see right here, I actually ripped it a little bit. But I had to go through like each page and decide where I wanted that page cut. I was very careful to leave things like the monthly spreads and the weekly spreads together to make sure that they lined up next to each other when I was looking at them in the planner. I think that would have really bothered me if they were like off center a little bit. And so I did punch those together as a group, but I was just very careful of how much space I was doing on the top and bottom to make sure that I wasn't cutting off anything that I wanted, and just to make it look the most normal as possible. And so because that was something I was doing manually, of course there were errors. They're not exactly the same. In fact, you can see on this one, when I punched the hole, it comes off the top a little bit, which is slightly annoying, but honestly, for what I'm doing, I'm actually really pleased with how it came out, just despite all of the difficulties I had trying to get it to line up. And so things like that, at least having that hole there, even though it crosses over the edge of the page, at least having the hole there gives that last ring a place to go, so it's not like denting into the page. So I was willing to sacrifice that in order to make this work. And the best thing I found to make sure that I was cutting off the right amount, because like I said, it's not an even measurement of at least in inches. So in order to know exactly where I needed to cut to get it the closest to the Erin Condren pages as possible, I made this template out of black paper. I used the black because it's such a contrast. I could see exactly where I was cutting much easier. The problem with that was that as I was cutting, I ended up cutting off a little bit on the edges as I was using the paper cutter. And so the further along I went, the more inaccurate my page sizes were getting, and I was trying to overcompensate sometimes. And anyway, it's not perfect, but it's close enough. And like I said, this was enough of a difficult process that I'm just pleased with the fact that it worked at all. So I'm happy with that. But you can see here too how by the end of it, it was cutting off. It would have cut off the edge right there. And I punched this after I was done punching all of the pages. I didn't do this beforehand. I think I probably would have noticed I was cutting off some of the page more if I had done it beforehand. So anyway, this was the best way I found to get the page size the most accurate. And so for doing it by hand, I think it worked. The next thing you should consider is that the MakseLife planner has 2 spreads per week. This makes for a very thick planner. This is only the 6-month version that I purchased in the inserts, and it was almost as thick as my 12-month Erin Condren. If you have the option of using an 18-month coil, for those that know Erin Condren planners, if you purchase an 18-month planner, you get a bigger coil. If you have that option of using one of those bigger coils, I would definitely do that, because this is a 12-month one and this thing is packed. Like, I don't have room for like anything else. I tried to put like these sticky notes in there and it's just too bulky. Like, the cover just won't even close anymore. And I took out 6 months worth of the Erin Condren planner. That's what's right here, is the last 6 months of 2022. I took out the Erin Condren note pages, but I put in the MakseLife note pages, so I do have note pages in the back. And I'll go through the note pages in a minute, because that was something else I changed since I was uncoiling it and recoiling it anyway. We'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, yeah, this is a 6-month planner. This was a 12-month. I took out 6 months of the LifePlanner, and I used the 6 months of the MakseLife together, and it's super chunky. So also something to keep in mind. If you have the option for the 18-month, definitely pick the 18-month coil. As for the technical part of it, I think that might be it. So here's just like the leftover pages I have. I didn't use the title page. There's a couple notes pages here. I used the Erin Condren pocket, not the MakseLife one, which I didn't even punch that, so I can use that for another one, or I don't know. We might do something with it. And then here's the rest of my Erin Condren pages. Again, I took out that page too. And then I took out the contacts tab and the end of year calendar because I never actually use it. And then the last 6 months of the year. And then, like I said, the notes pages. So anyway, that's what I took out. I have those that I will just set aside, and we'll see how this goes, and then I'll reevaluate in a few months and decide where I'm going to go from there. See if this is working or just which direction, what I'm going to do for the rest of the year. I do want to flip through this and show you what I did on the inside. I'm really excited about it. I love it. I love this purple vegan leather cover from Erin Condren. This is actually one of the reasons why I wanted to use the LifePlanner so much. This and the Flora pattern. I just love them, and I think they're gorgeous. And I love the black coil with the purple. The one thing I thought was kind of weird, let me see if I can get my other one and I will show you what I mean. Okay, so this is another one of the vegan leather covers. This is actually a focus planner, but if you notice on the inside it's all the same color, and this is really nice. This one's a little bit different. It's a little bit stiffer, and on the inside it just has white, which I think is interesting. I'm not sure why this one is different than this one. It seems like they should be the same, but I'm not sure the reasoning behind that. I just thought that was something interesting to note. So anyway, on the inside, the first thing I have is one of these little pockets. They don't sell these anymore. They used to give them away with the life planners. I love them. I'm obsessed with them. I put them in all of my planners. Like you can see, I have stamps in here. I have my coupons. I have a little compliment card, and then some stickers and an envelope back here with an address that I need. I love having these in my planners. They just hang on to all the little things, and it just seems like there's always little things that I want with me when I'm planning. So anyway, I have that. Then I kept in the vellum from the Flora, and then I just skipped right to this page that has the quote on it, and I think that's really pretty together. I think that worked. So then I have 18 months. Yeah, this one is the Erin Condren pages. This is the regular 12 boxes for goals or whatever it is that you do on it. And then over here you can see it turns more white. This is the MakseLife pages. So from MakseLife, I included all of the goal setting pages that are in the beginning of their planners. Again, these were a lot of fun to trim one at a time. The best one is the one with the tab, because you can only take it off the bottom, otherwise you're cutting off the tab. So some of my tabs are probably weird. I have so many tabs along the side now anyway that I don't even know if I would notice if any of them were misaligned. So anyway, yeah. So first thing I have is all of the MakseLife goal setting pages. So I put that right in the front. Then it goes into January, and this is back to the Erin Condren pages. So I have the monthly calendar, my little ruler bookmark. Here I put in an extra note page. So I did an extra note page in every month right here at the beginning, between the note page on the back of the calendar and this little dashboard page, whatever it's called. Then it goes into the weekly pages, and I have the horizontal here. I've been kind of using a horizontal weekly right now, and I've been liking it, and so I decided to get the horizontal for the Flora. And then you have the notes page at the end. So then after the Erin Condren month, I did the MakseLife month. And so this one is undated, so I'll have to fill it all in. When you buy the inserts for MakseLife, she does give you tab stickers to go on each one, and I really love these because they're white and they are so easy to read. For stickers that go on tabs, I think they're really good, and so I'm really happy with them. So I did put the stickers on all of the months, but the monthly pages and the weekly pages, they're all undated. So I have my monthly here, I have the monthly goals, and then it goes into the weekly pages. So here's just a notes page or a space for reflection. Then you have the weekly actions, and then the weekly pages, and then it cycles through that, so you get more weekly actions, weekly page, and it does that for the whole month. Then at the end you have your monthly reflections. So for each of the 6 months, I have the full month of Erin Condren and the full month of MakseLife, and with that extra notes page in between right after the monthly calendar. So that's pretty consistent throughout the whole thing. It just goes through all of the months through June to that point. Then at the end, let's see. Okay, so there's the end of June. So after June, I have the assessment section, which in the 6-month undated version that I purchased, it's actually an assessment section at the back. If you buy something like the flagship planner from MakseLife, these quarterly assessments are actually throughout the planner every 3 months. But because this is undated, they just put 2 of them at the back, 1 for every 3 months. So I have that. And then there's a 6 months future plans. Again, since it's a 6-month planner, there's the 6 boxes so that you can plan out the rest of the year if needed. And then after that page, I just have some note pages in there. After the note pages, I have the Flora Pocket, which I like to use for stickers and other random things. Like I said, I like to throw lots of little random things in my planners. And I loved the Flora Pocket. And then there's the back of it. So that's how the whole thing is set up. At this point, I honestly can't tell you how I'm going to use this exactly. I've debated between alternating back and forth the weeks, whether I use the Erin Condren or the MakseLife. It was really important to me to have the goal setting pages in my planner, but there are things about the Erin Condren planner that I just love. I love the flora pattern, and that just makes me happy. And I actually really am beginning to love this dashboard page. I've been using it a lot more the past year, and I didn't want to give that up. I like using that, and so I threw that in there. I also wasn't sure if I would rather use the horizontal version or a vertical. There's the vertical. I've always been a vertical planner. It's just been recently that I've been using horizontal and really enjoying it. So I'm not sure which one I would rather use. Already personally, I can tell you I love the MakseLife paper more than the Erin Condren paper. The thing I don't like about the Erin Condren paper is that gritty feel to it. I know some people love that, and that's fantastic. I'm glad you do. I prefer smoother paper, and so I love the feel of the MakseLife paper. I also love that it's a brighter white, less of a creamy color. That being said, I've used Erin Condren for so long, I don't even notice the paper really much anymore. So that's not really much of an issue for me. But I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to use it at this point, but I just wanted to try them both out. So it's kind of an experimental planner, and we'll see how it goes for the beginning of the year, and then that'll determine what I do for the rest of the year. So if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I have one more video coming out soon, if it hasn't come out already, where I go through all of the planners that I'm using for 2022 and walk through them. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of those. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. But thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.